Page 37, Arpeggio Drill. That's the top of the page. Typically I don't cover drills and things in my videos, but it's sort of an important part of what John Thompson is doing, so I'll go ahead and cover it. On page 36, they're introducing you to chords and how chords are put together, and a little bit about arpeggios, so let's cover this. You need to know it, so okay. Now there's a disagreement on almost everything as far as music goes. People don't agree, and they never have. Since way back hundreds of years ago, they still didn't agree on how it should be played or what things meant or whatever. Well, on a chord, people don't agree on the definition of what a chord is. Some people say a chord is 3 or more notes. Some people say a chord is 2 or more notes. It's up to you. Depends on which reference book you're referencing. I've found reference books that say each one. I was taught, and I believe, that a chord is 2 or more notes. Anytime you have more than a note, one note, it's a chord. In most cases, not all, in most cases you need at least 3 notes to identify what the chord is. In some cases you can't even identify the chord with 3 notes. You need more than that, because a chord can have any number of notes in it. That's it. And what we do is start out simple. We just do the basic chords. Let's go back to C major because it uses all the white keys. It makes it easier. And we can build a chord. It's every other note. Just 3 of them. It's called a triad. Tri meaning 3, triad. Remember, a tetrachord was 4 notes. Well, we don't go trichord. We go triad. And it's every other note in the key, whatever key you're in. We're in C major. I can build a chord on each note in the scale. Might not know what the chord is, but that's the way it works. It's here. That's sort of what they're talking about here. And the bottom note identifies what the chord is. So it's a C chord. Now we have major and minor and augmented and diminished and all these other kinds of chords or types of chords. Later time that. This right now, it is a major chord. We'll just say the first note of a scale, any chord built on the first note is a major chord. If I go to a G major scale and I build a chord on that, that's a major chord. If I go this showing F, you haven't had an F. Have you had F yet? Yeah, you've had one flat. So you've had F major scale. So I build a chord on F. That's a major chord. Got it? That's a major scale. If it's built on the first step of a major scale, it is a major chord. Now I can rearrange these notes because what's important here is the name of the note. The C, E, and the G. They don't have to be in this arrangement. I can play a C here, and a G here, and an E here. It's still a C major chord, a triad. Just not in this 90s. Yeah, I have to figure out what they are, but still, it's a C major chord. Well, what we do here to start with is we simply turn it over. We invert it. So I take the C and I put it on top. We call it first inversion. It's still a C chord. Then I can do it again. I take the E and I put it on top. That's second inversion. C chord. If I do it again, I put the G on top. We're back to our original position. We call it root position. Root position is where the notes are every other note, and the bottom note identifies what the chord is. That's root position. If it's in some other position, you need to think about mentally putting it in root position if you want to identify what the chord is. Because here, there's 2 notes here, so that's not root position. I need to keep turning it over until the notes are one each. So here, now it's in root position. That's sort of what they're talking about. Now there's 2 kinds of chords on how they're played. You have a block chord, B-L-O-C-K, block. That's where the notes go down at the same time. It's a block chord. Or you have broken chords, and that is where the notes are not down at the same time. There's all kinds of patterns for broken chords. It's up to you and your imagination. Because I could play like one note in the chord and then two notes. That's still a broken chord. I could go here. That's a broken chord. Anything that's not block is broken. Here we're talking about arpeggios. An arpeggio is where the pattern is going up or going down one note at a time. So here I would go or down. That's an arpeggio. An arpeggiated chord is one that's broken up like that. This study is a thing on arpeggios for a C chord. They're starting out here. See, a chord doesn't have to be played at the same time. That's a block chord. It's still a chord because the brain will still hear the harmony even though you're not playing the notes at the same time. It will hear that even though the notes, so it's still a chord. The only difference I might add is when you get to two-note chords, you can hear that harmony, but when you start going note, 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 like in a that's not a chord anymore. You're off of that. You're off into other things. A chord is where you can actually hear that harmony. So here we have the C chord, and then the right hand plays it up here, and then the left hand, see the treble clef? You come over and play it up here, and then the right hand, you see the 8VA? It's another symbol to learn. 8VA simply means you go up or down an octave. Oh, that's great. What's an octave? Well, OCT, oct, means 8. If I go and I count the notes from letter to letter, let's say C to C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an octave. It's a very important thing in music. Letter to letter. You get it a lot. Octaves. Well, here you're simply taking that note that's written here and you're moving it an octave here. So you play it up here, even though it's written here. That's what that means. If the 8VA is above the staff, you go up. If the 8VA is below the staff, you go down. So let's look at the fourth measure there. The C's and the right hand is written here, but the 8VA, and that dotted line means you keep doing it for as long as that dotted line is there. So you're here, and then if you look at the lower staff, you have that C is here for the left hand, but it has an 8VA above it, so you take it up an octave here. Isn't this fun? That's all that's for. And so we can use this 8VA thing to help us expand out. We don't need all these ledger lines. They could have used ledger lines for that. Some publishers do. It's just easier if they put the 8VA in it though. As a piano player, you got to learn to read the ledger lines though eventually. So this is just chords going up and down. I remember when I was a little kid learning to do this, and oh, this was fun, and I would just anything. I didn't care what, I just did it and kept doing it and kept doing it, and I found out, hey, I'm getting good at this. Well, that's because I kept practicing it. I wasn't really practicing it, I was just having fun. But that's really what it's about. And they're quite common in piano, and music actually in general. And that one new note I pointed out earlier in the left hand, that really high C, that's two ledger lines above the treble clef, that is a C up here. And then it's got the 8VA since it up here. So new note to learn. And that, yes, you need to know, two ledger lines above treble clef is a C, just know it. So I'd like to play this with you slowly to make sure we got the notes. The rhythms aren't bad, they're all quarter notes. And you're moving your hands around. Well, you got it memorized, basically, because it's a pattern. You're starting here, you're playing C chords all the way up to here, and you're going back down to here. And you're repeating it once. You don't even need to look at the music, which is helpful because when you move around this much, you got to be looking at the keyboard. You don't have time to look at the music. So you see these patterns, you think, oh, C major arpeggio, okay, and you just do it. And you don't have to be focused so much on the music. It helps. Let's play this together slowly. Dynamics, forget the dynamics. It's a study. We don't worry about dynamics right now. We're interested in getting our notes and hands in the right place at the right time so the beat is smooth and even. I'll give us 3 counts. 1, ready, go. Repeat.